Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Pathways to Knowledge. It's going to be a good one tonight. Last week, we had our spirit guide, Lord, give us future predictions. Well, it kind of dawned on me that maybe some of you don't know as much about spirits guides as you should. And I know Elena there, who's sitting here waiting, is frothing at the mouth, waiting to ask her questions as well. So I thought we'd do a show on spirit guides tonight. It's going to be very interesting, and I know you're going to learn a lot of information about it. So, Elena, welcome, and let's get her going.
All right. So last week on Pathways to Knowledge, we channeled our spirit guide, Laura, and she gave us some amazing information about the future. If you didn't see the show, we highly recommend that you check it out. Barry, of course, realized that I had a million more questions to ask about spirit guides, so he prepared a show dedicated exclusively to the information about heavenly guides. We will once again be channeling Laura, our master guide. Laura, thank you for returning. What is a spirit guide?
A spirit guide is a spirit, an energy that resides in heaven that will help guide you through any incarnate life for which you try to choose. We do many things during that life, but we also help you make the life plan. So we know what should be taking place in your life in order to try to conform to the life plan you laid out before you came back. So we will do all that we can to try to help you follow that path. Now, each person has a spirit guide. Each person does not know they have a spirit guide, obviously, because you don't know anything at birth. So we will try to influence you through dreams, through maybe sending angels back to speak with you. So we have many, many tools available. But a spirit guide is simply an energy in heaven that is devoted to trying to help you follow your own life plan.
Okay, so you said we all have a spirit guide. Is there any way for us to confirm that as a human we have a spirit guide?
Actually, indirectly. We're never going to come right out and let you know that you have this guide. But if you meet up with your soulmate and marry your soulmate, you're going to know that we played a role in it, because that could have never taken place if you didn't have guidance from the other side. So it is in the results that you know that we are here taking care of you. Now, if you don't believe in us, then obviously there's no way that you're ever going to really know that you have a spirit guide. But the results of your life, that's how you know that we're here and making things happen that otherwise could have never happened for you. So it's a human life is never a life of definitive information from us. We're always guiding, we're always here, but it always takes that faith in your heart to believe in the afterlife and to believe that we are here helping you. And the normal result of that is that you pray to us. When you pray to God, we often hear the prayers, or God will let us know what is in his mind, and we will follow what you ask for in prayer and help that to take place as well. So it's really a big group effort over here in heaven. Nothing is as easy as you think it is, but we're always here and we're always trying to help you.
Do individuals in the upper level of heaven have more advanced guides?
Yes. As you advance in the realms of heaven, your life plans become more complicated. So it takes more assistance from the guides. So guides that are more experienced can do a better job helping you with a more difficult life plan. So just as in life, as in business, there are leaders and there are followers. As you advance in the realms, and we ask you to do more when you return in a life plan, more help will be required to make sure those events take place as they should. So yes, as you advance in the realms of heaven, your guides advance as well. Since the both of you are in upper realm, I am here to help you, and I am a master guide. So you, the two of you, have very advanced helps in your life, and that is the way it works for everyone that comes back with highly advanced life plans.
Do all spirit guides come from soul energies?
Basically,
Okay.
Guides are all energies. There are some guides that have never returned, that have always been guides since the beginning. So I cannot tell you that those were soul energies because they never lived lives, incarnate lives, where they would have been souls. But I can tell you that all guides absolutely are soul-like energies. Just because that energy hasn't returned to get the designation of a soul guide does not mean that the energy is different. All soul energies are identical. All energies that go to incarnate lives are identical. But when God created the universe, he also created energies that would only be guides. So you could not call them soul energies.
Do angels ever act as guides?
Of course, they help us all the time. Sometimes your guides would very rarely ever appear in human form for you. But there are times that we need to send back energies in human form so that they can make specific efforts to help you. For instance, you may be headed for a very bad accident. We may send an angel back to speak to you, to tell you to take a different path. When Connie was in severe danger of having an automobile accident, we had an angel speak to her and tell her not to go. So angels help all the time because they have basically have stronger interacting energies with humans and can come in different physical form. We as guides, as spirit guides, cannot do many of the things that angels can do.
So can an alien serve as a spirit guide?
Aliens have the same soul energies as humans do. So it is possible that we can ask energies that have incarnated to help act as guides for people. So it is a very complicated process. But just say there's an immense amount of help available to anyone that is having an incarnate life, if they have the foundation of faith to believe, and if they ask for that help. If you don't believe, then not so much.
Can souls that have passed from your soul family act as guides?
They will never be true guides, but they can assist us in guiding you, if that helps. Mm-hmm. It might be that we have to have the soul of a family member appear to you in a dream so that you will take the message seriously. Quite often, if some type of obscure energy would appear to you in a dream, you may not remember it. But if a deceased family member that you love appears to you in a dream and gives you advice, the odds are pretty good that you'll remember that. So sometimes we do use souls that have returned to heaven to help guide you. Souls that have returned from your soul family spend a lot of time with you during your incarnate life. So there may be times that we're not aware of something that's taking place. And that soul energy can intercede and give you information and help. So once again, the complexities of it are overwhelming. But just suffice to say that you have basically all the help that you need when you ask for it.
Can animal souls be guides?
Yes. An animal can actually be sent back to help you and act as a guide. For instance, if a person is having Great Depression, we may send an animal back to help bring comfort to that person. The animal may not give messages. It would be capable of it if the individual had psychic abilities. But through just simply being there and bringing comfort, it can act as a guide.
What role does the spirit guide play in the life of a human?
It plays an incredibly important role, because without a spirit guide, you would have no concept of the events taking place in your life that were made during your life plan. When you do not have faith, your spirit guide does not interact with you. So you can see many people of evil that have not interacted with their guides and have gone on this path following evil energies because they don't believe or ask for the help. But a person that truly believes in God and has faith, they will interact with their guides, and the guides will give them good information. So guides play an immense role in your life, for good or for bad. If they're helping you, they're playing a good role. But if you don't believe and they're not helping you, you might say that no influence has a very negative influence on your incarnate life.
Is there a specific number of guides that everyone gets, or it's an unlimited number? Whatever help you need, you get?
Generally, you have a master, a guide that is in charge. But keep in mind that the guides do not have all knowledge. So there are specific guides available to you. For instance, you may want to write a book. So we'll give you a writing guide. You may want to learn a foreign language. We may give you a guide that specializes in the language you want to learn. You may want to be a professional singer. We may send you an angel under Sandalphon, or we might send you a guide that can help you advance in what you want to do. So there have been times when Barry was channeling, when he was working on his conspiracy book, that I would bring in maybe a dozen different guides because he was asking specific questions about different situations and conspiracies. So I would have guides there that were familiar with each of those conspiracies, or that could bring in the spirit he wanted to talk to that was concerned in those conspiracies. So just have faith that we know what we're doing over here, and we will give you as many guides as are required.
What role does the guide play in preparing a life plan?
A huge role, actually, because the guide is in charge. The guide will work with the soul in heaven. The soul will decide that it wants to return. It will discuss what it wants to be, and the guide will inform him of the karmas that he will bring with him into that incarnate life that he desires. So the guide has to work in all of the specific karmas, the good karmas, the bad karmas. The individual soul may want to come in with a soulmate that he wants to marry and have another life with. So the circumstances of bringing the two together will be up to the spirit guide. So the guide basically is in charge of putting the life plan together. But that guide will work with other guides as well, with angels that were familiar with the karmas. The complexities of heaven are overwhelming. We often tell you, you are never going to understand this until you come back. And this subject matter is no exception.
But why would anybody want to come back to Earth if they already are in heaven?
You can be in heaven, but it depends what realm you're in heaven. Everyone, when you are there, understands that they want to advance in the realms of heaven. The only way to do that is to return to a human life, to learn the lessons, and to learn to serve God in those human lives, because it is only through how they live that life that they can advance in heaven. If you never do an incarnate life, you will remain in the realm in which you're residing. Now, many people are very happy in the realms that they're in, so they don't want to come back for an incarnate life, because there's always a downside. Because of free will, they can come back and make mistakes that would put them in lower levels. So even though they are coming back desirous of living a life where they will increase in the realms, they may make mistakes and have karmas that will actually lead them to going into lower realms. So an incarnate life is always a challenge. That is why some souls may choose to go to other planets where they're very advanced and don't have the risk of making mistakes with their free will. So their guides will help tell them. They will help them pick out their parents. They will do all the things that that spirit needs to have the best shot possible at following the life plan that it wants to follow.
How is your guide assigned to you?
Your guide has probably been with you for many incarnate lives, especially if the soul is from the upper levels. Then generally the guides will stay with them through multiple lifetimes. But as the soul advances in the realms, other guides will step in and take over with that life. Because, as I said earlier, as you advance in the realms, you require more experienced master guides. So as you advance, the odds are pretty good that your guides will change with you.
How is it possible, Laura, for guides to alter the events so you follow your life plan? For example, when soulmates return to be husband and wife, how is it assured that they meet during their human lives?
Sometimes it can be very, very difficult. We have to basically lay out a whole plan ahead of time. There will be events that will change, and it will make, sometimes we have to step in and change the events. Sometimes two people who are supposed to meet as soulmates meet but don't realize it and use their free will, and we have to start over and bring them back together again. So that is why sometimes in life, people that dated in high school, for instance, may come together 20 years later, because it takes us a while to reorganize all the events in their lives. So it's all very complicated, but you will not truly understand until you get over here. But we have the ability to work with other guides and manipulate situations. So when we do your life plan, the life plan is based on the future as we see it at that time. But we do, as events change, we do have the ability to change with those events. I keep saying it's very complicated, but that is an understatement.
Do your guides change during your human life?
Your master guide will not change. Whoever made up your life plan will stay with you. But you will have many guides that will assist, and they will change throughout your lifetime.
So you talked about getting special guides for different needs. So how do you go about getting a special guide to help you with writing or to help you with school? etc.?
It will almost take place automatically with your master guide. Your master knows what is taking place every day of your life. It will know what you're asking for through prayer. It will know what you're trying to do. So if you are asking for something that is outside the capabilities of the master that has been assigned to you, that guide will bring others in to help you. While the master won't change, the ones that might be leading you on a day-to-day basis will. So if you want to write a book, they will bring in a master guide, a writing guide to help you, so that when you sit down to work on that book or when you think about it, that guide will be present and will give you directions that you will never know you're receiving. When Barry decided he wanted to write the first book, he had no writing abilities. So we had to give him a very experienced writing guide to help him. And things worked out. And now he has published 11 books. So we can do many things. And it just takes a little maneuvering at times.
What's the best way to communicate with your spirit guide?
Prayer. It's always through prayer, but you can do it mentally. It doesn't have to be a formal prayer. You can simply in your mind say, and Barry does this all the time, he might say, Laura, give me some information on this subject. Or I will know that he is writing questions. The best example is the questions that you're asking now. I knew that he was going to do this, and I knew what questions you wanted to have answered. So I put the question into his mind, and he wrote the questions. He has no idea what my answers will be, but I assisted him in the questions. And as you can see, he covered a lot of what you were thinking.
Absolutely. How do the guides differ from angels?
Through their energies. Angelic energies are entirely different from the energies of souls that reincarnate or have incarnate lives. Angels have never lived an incarnate life. All individuals that are human in human form at this time have the energy of souls. So it's two entirely different types of energies.
Do you have the same master guide and spirit guides during your multiple reincarnations?
Depends on what level you're in. As you advance, your guides will advance with you in their knowledge. So in the beginning, when you're in the lower levels, you will have guides that aren't as advanced. So as you rise in the realms of heaven, the abilities of your guides also increases.
What role does the guide play when the incarnate body dies and the soul returns to heaven?
When the soul returns to heaven, it will be brought, usually with the assistance of the angels, to the master guide who is in charge of the lifetime. The guide knows everything that has taken place in that life, what good karmas you created, what bad karmas you created. When you wandered from the path, when you stayed on the path. And he will point all of the things out to you. And he will tell you which karmas are basically going to be forgotten and which karmas are going to affect you in your future incarnations. For instance, if you lived a life of wealth and did not use it to help others, he will tell you very clearly that in your future life, when you return, and you will have to return to learn lessons to advance, you will live a life of poverty so you understand how you harmed the individuals that you did not help. So your guide will be very clear in which karmas will carry forward and which will basically be forgiven because you've done good acts to counteract them.
Does your spirit guide have the sole responsibility for your judgment when you return to heaven?
Your guide will be assisted. God always has control. So he may give information to the guide for your judgment, but your judgment is always 100% accurate as to how you lived that previous incarnate life. Your guide will know if there are karmas from past lives that will have to be used in future lives. So your guide knows everything about your soul life, and that will be reflected when you decide. You will be told when you return, because you need to have the information on what type of future life you want to have. So your soul will know when you return how you've done. And that's the most important thing, because that will reflect what will happen in your next incarnation.
So when you return to heaven and you're judged, if you don't like your judgment, is there a way to appeal to a higher authority?
No. Your master guide is your authority on your life. That is the energy that has kept track of everything that you've done. Your guide is in contact with God, with any of the Holy Spirits that might have influence. So there is no appeal. You cannot appeal the truth. It will do you no good. The worst that can happen is that you try to lie to your guide and build up additional negative karmas for your future life.
Double jeopardy.
Correct.
How many souls can a guide support at the same time?
As many as it needs to. Now, that's a very evasive question. I support many, many spirits in life. The spirits that I support are all upper level incarnations. So there will be times that God puts more souls from the upper level back, and there will be times that he puts less back, depending on what is taking place at that time of human history. So we can do what we need to do. So there's literally no limit. It's a type of universal energy, and it is very difficult to comprehend until you see it when you return.
Can a guide support souls on multiple planets at the same time?
Generally not, but it can. It can work in multiple dimensions, and that's what closes the distances between the different planets. So the heavenly energies are so different from what you comprehend living in your three-dimensional state. But generally, a guide will focus on a single planet because they are more effective that way.
Does a guide have any control over the free will of the human being?
No. They can influence it, but they will not control it. The human soul always has access to free will. It always can do whatever it wishes to do. It can influence it, it can give information, it can give guidance, but your soul always makes the decisions. Your guide will never, ever make your decision. It will try to influence it, it will try to lead you. It will do all it can for you to make the right decision, but you always make the decision, because those decisions are what you are judged for when you return. So let's just say you cannot stack the deck by having your guide make your decisions for you.
Fair enough. How would you define a master guide?
A guide that has served God to the best of its ability for many, many billions of years. It has worked to serve God and it has succeeded, the souls that it has guided, the incarnate, the souls that lived incarnate lives, have done exceptional jobs in following their life plans because of the way the guide has led those souls. So that guide has been more effective in leading souls than what other guides have done, because the souls that it has been leading has progressed to upper realms. So basically, the guide that has been most successful in having humans advance in the realms are the ones that become the true masters.
So then you can advance from being a basic spirit guide to a master guide if you perform well.
Correct. It's the same as humans can do in an incarnate life.
Okay. What would you tell someone who doesn't believe in spirit guides?
I would tell them they have a real problem because they're making their own decisions without the help of heaven. And whenever somebody is making decisions without heavenly guidance, they are, in most cases, making very bad decisions. I would tell them that they need to gain faith, that they need to, if they don't believe in spirit guides, they probably do not believe in God. But guides are the servants of God. So if you believe in God, you need to learn about spirit guides and believe in them, because your guides are the intermediaries in leading you in your everyday events. God can create miracles. He can do whatever he wishes, but he delegates the authority of your everyday guidance to your guides.
Was there ever a time, like at the time of creation, when the spirit guides did not exist?
No. Guides were created at creation. Some were not, but there were always a basic number of guides available, because since creation and the planets became capable of establishing life, humans went from heaven to these planets. And whenever a soul is in an incarnate life, it requires a guide. So it's like the chicken and the egg, but in this case, they both came in together.
Does God give direct instructions to spirit guides?
If required, a guide can always ask for advice of God. But God it's generally not required because of the interworking relationship between God and the energies in heaven.
What is the most important lesson we as humans need to focus on in this lifetime?
Following the words of God. When you follow the words of God, our job becomes very easy, because we do not have to influence you, because you're using your free will to do what you should be doing. When an individual wanders from the path, it becomes more difficult for us because we have to try to alter events to bring him back to the path of God. So just simply follow the words, the common sense that you hear or that you're made aware of. Even the most primitive people who have never heard God, the word God, are given advice. They have common sense. And the common sense that is instilled in a person as they grow towards adulthood is to help one another. We have many different ways of influencing people to do what is right. But sadly, many people, because of greed, hatred, anger, they choose to do what is not right. But use your common sense and everything works out. It's basically that simple.
So, what is the central lesson my soul is working on in this lifetime?
Are you talking about your soul personally?
Yeah.
Do you really think I'm going to answer you?
Well, you can telepathically and let me know.
I could. You know well what you have lived a good life. The fact that you are sitting there helping Barry today indicates that you now understand much better what your path is. But you've always lived a good life. You've always helped others. You've always followed your common sense. There are many, many people in this world that owe their vision to you. So you have these great accomplishments through your life. So you understand. You may try to bait me and ask me some other questions, but you know full well that you are doing what you should be doing at this point.
So when I met Barry and Connie 20 years ago, I felt as if I'd known them my entire life. So I am going to assume that I knew them from a different life. When and where did I meet Bonnie, or not Bonnie, Connie and Barry? And how many different lifetimes did we share?
You weren't going to say Bonnie and Clyde, were you?
No. But you and Connie together can be Bonnie.
You have lived lifetimes with them before. You, I think, have realized now that you have walked the earth at the same time that Jesus did, as have Barry and Connie. So that was probably the main life where you had interactions with Connie. You did not know Barry in that lifetime.
When did I meet Barry?
About 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. 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 So are the people that we meet reflections of something that we need to understand about ourselves?
Possibly. You can be meeting people that are simply part of your life plan that have nothing to do with the reflections of yourself, but are required for you to carry out what was in your life plan. Because your life plan is critical to your everyday activities, to who you know, and to how you conduct yourself.
I know these next two questions you're not going to answer, but I'll try. If I could see my future, what choices would you tell me to focus on?
I would tell you to focus on what will bring you and Mike the most happiness, and that happiness is from how much you help others.
What decisions in my past have had the greatest unforeseen impact?
In your past,
Mm-hmm.
I think that your occupational plans did not go as you wanted them to go as you came closer to retirement, and that the decisions you had to make, you had hoped would have a more personal effect on your family. So I think that disappointment is probably one of the biggest things that you've had to face.
So, do you have a final message for us, Laura?
Yes. Know that your guides are always available for you. You can speak to us mentally, you can speak to us verbally. But all that we are going to try to do is influence that you make the proper decisions in your life, that you follow the words of God, that you build your foundation of faith, and that you especially help others. Love and teaching others and giving them guidance is always extremely important. The better the life that you live, the less that we as guides have to influence your life. Your free will is the ultimate decision-making process that you live. Just simply use your free will, your common sense, and do what you know is right. Never do anything you don't want done to yourself. It's that very simple thing. Everyone that is listening can obtain great personal happiness in spite of illnesses, grief, all of the things that come with a human life. We will do our best to help you get over all of the problems that you face. Just simply live a good life, do your common sense, and we will be there for you. So thank you so much. Thank you for doing what you do. And as you know, I'm always available to help. I know that God is also listening to the show tonight, and that he is blessing everyone that is listening. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to bring you all the heavenly information. We went a little deeper into things than we usually do tonight, but thank you so much. Thank you for being who you are, and thank you to all of those who are listening for spending the time to learn about spirit guides. So goodbye, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Again, please come back again soon.
That means you must have more questions for me.
Always.
Okay. Well, you snuck some in there on me, kiddo. All right. Well, I'm not sure what to say after this one. So, Elena, Lord knows what we're going to do next week. He's the only one that knows what's coming out of your head. So
That's true.
we'll see what happens. So,
Yep.
Goodbye, and we will definitely talk again. Goodbye.
Have a good week, everyone.
Okay, that was an interesting show. Thank you so much. We'll be back again next week. I have no idea what we're going to be talking about, but I know it's going to be good, and it's always a lot of fun. So thank you so much. Goodbye, and have a blessed week.